Once upon a time. Welcome to Australian Book Lovers, your destination for imagination.
A big warm welcome to everyone and a huge thank you for joining us once again for the Australian Book Lovers podcast. Our mission, as always, is to bring fabulous Australian and Indigenous literature spanning a whole range of genres to book lovers all around the globe, as well as fantastic resources and information for passionate authors looking to write their very next bestseller. I am Darren Kazanko, dystopian science fiction and horror author, avid reader, and one of your hosts and co-founder of Australian Book Lovers, coming to you today, as always, from the wonderful, currently sunny, Corner Country in South Australia.
And I am Veronica Strachan, aka V.E. Patton, fantasy, memoir and picture book writer, reader, and your other co-founder and host for our session today, coming to you from Wurundjeri, Woiwurrung country for episode 43.
43, yes. We're another exciting number. Definitely starting to feel very, shall we say, world-wise and mature. Although...
Indeed, gravitas. And we have wisdom, so that's a good thing to talk about today. Because our guest, our interviewee, our author interviewee, it's all about the wisdom that she wanted to share. So, yeah,
I love
ideal.
Wisdom. But I was going to say before, I think in podcast terms, I think maybe 43, maybe it's still a little bit teenagery, I think.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think 100's our goal. 100's where we can sit back and smoke that cigar and go, I've been there, kid. It's not pretty. But no, 43. Well, 43, I missed it the last episode, but I thought quickly, because angels are important, obviously. And so the angels have numbers, apparently. So, and angels, they say on the interwebs, send us angel numbers to remind us of some important things in life. So, what about the number 43? What does it mean?
Yes, so Darren, tell us, what does it mean?
Well, number 43 is supposedly a tricky magical one because it consists of numerical 4 and 3, both numbers with strong spiritual and heavenly powers. Of course, it was there in the symbolism all along, 4 and 3. The number 4 apparently stands for stability, determination, and order. And the number 3, which actually is my favourite number, represents energy, positivity, and prosperity. So prosperity being probably a good key theme of today's special guest as well. So combined together, they give 43. Well, I don't know if that's correct. Combined together, they give 7. But written next to each other, it reads as 43. So there we go. But yes, we've got a wonderful guest today. And I think you must have had an absolute abundance, shall we say, of positive energy and vibes of prosperity with the guest.
Absolutely. And really the ups and downs of business, which is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And having been a small business owner myself for quite a long time, it is lovely to hear from another woman who has just so much passion and commitment to not only her business but her family, to putting things back into her community. So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, and I think it's quite timely too, isn't it? I kind of get the sentiment out there that people's priorities are starting to shift. I think we've spoken about that briefly in different episodes, and a lot of people are looking at possibly, well, not necessarily changing their career, but what other options are available on the table. And for a lot of people, that may mean finally taking that plunge and trialling a small business idea. Whether, however the seeds begin to grow in the garden, it might be a hobby that you start trying to, you may manufacture something or produce something that you want to sell online, or you have services that you'd like to make available. And so I think it's timely because a lot of people, I think, are looking at other options to, nothing wrong with 9 to 5, but definitely with the uncertainty that's out there, why not investigate these other avenues that maybe can be an integral part of your life and a part of your income and your financial stream as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting in terms of non-fiction. So there are schools of thought that writing a book is an incredibly helpful thing for a small business. And just to share with you some statistics, because I think I did sort of throw some statistics around in my interview with Mary, but now having gone back to look at what the statistics actually are, women made up just over a third of all Australian business operators, so about 34%. So that's 668,670 women. And there's been a 46% increase in the number of women business operators over the past 2 decades. And more than 2 in 5 of those women business operators were aged 40 to 54. So that is a part you'll see as we, talk in the interview, Mary, about getting on and getting past 50 and still feeling like she wasn't finished. And I know listeners have heard me say I'm not quite finished even though I'm over 60. So it's difficult to dismiss, I want it to be more difficult to dismiss older people from going, oh, well, you've had your chance. Yes, you might have stuffed the world or whatever, but we still have a lot to offer.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I don't think it's a case of trying to hand the reins over or anything like that, or you've had your shot at our turn. I think it's a case of the playing field, the environment, all those elements that come together to make that game we call society, and how one can navigate through it and find potential sources of income, etc. That changes all the time, and I think it's a natural thing. For some people, they'll sort of, if they focus on one particular area for a long time, when they stop work or perhaps go to look at changing, the world's changed a lot. But whereas, for example, you've kept up at non-stop. I mean, you're saying that it's a case of, reaching a certain age, it doesn't mean you have to finish. We've only just started. The Australian Book Lovers.
Exactly. I've got way more things to do. And if COVID will let us get together, we have plans.
That's
we have
right.
lots of plans.
Absolutely. And it means being, I guess, unafraid of the way things are evolving. I mean, here we are recording a podcast. That's for a lot of people, it may not be something that was even conceivable of 20 years ago. And for a lot of people right now, probably still something a little bit of an oddity or something they don't quite understand. So there's opportunities for everyone. I guess that it's just a matter of also calibrating your mind and your sense of energy into that realm that is society that changes all the time. So there's plenty of options. But before we get further, because this is a huge rabbit hole, shall we jump to some news?
Give us some news, Darren.
All right. Well, besides the news that, I don't have too much news today. There is news. I'm taking my rat test today or tomorrow. I was positive for the virus, so hence I'd probably still sound a little bit like not like a rock star, but like a washed out rock star, as in with that throaty, way too many vodkas and cigarettes throat. But yeah, hopefully that's negative, and that's a chapter, excuse the pun, that I can put behind me, and fingers crossed it means, better things moving forward. But nonetheless, so not too much news, but I did want to, there is some good news nonetheless, starting with one of our most fantastically favourite authors ever to be a part of the Australian Book Lovers podcast and to be a part of the Australian Book Lovers website and panels is, of course, Sandy Barker, who has just uploaded another one of her fantastic titles to our website, and the book title is called The Christmas Swap. Now, I think you had a bit of love for this one, Veronica.
Yes, yes indeed.
So the description for this one is Chloe, Jules and Lucy meet at a Maui resort kids club, aged 11, forging a lifelong friendship spanning 2 decades and 3 continents. 22 years later, they decide to swap Christmases, none of them expecting the hilarity and romantic escapades that will ensue. Chloe from Melbourne spends her Christmas with Lucy's mum and dad in a sleepy village in Oxfordshire, England, stunned to the core when she discovers who grew up across the road from Lucy. Lucy, who has jetted off to snowy Colorado for her dream-come-true White Christmas, is taken into the fold of Jules' loud and brash family, discovering more about herself in a few short days than she has in years. And Jules leaves the cold climes of Colorado to spend a balmy orphan's Christmas with Chloe's friends in Melbourne, finding that time away from her mundane life is just what she needed. Join these 3 lovable women as they each get a Christmas to surpass their wildest dreams. And that, of course, is The Christmas Swap by author Sandy Barker. So that one's going to be up on our romance page. And
excellent.
Yeah, look, grab a copy now, enjoy it, put it away, bring it out again next Christmas, and maybe it'll become a ritual every Christmas to snuggle up and enjoy that tale.
Yeah.
And I thought I'll quickly spotlight a little bit on the book that we will be discussing, or that you'll be having a chat to today, the author. And that author is Mary Philippou. And Mary Philippou wrote a book called Show Me the Money for Those Screaming for Profit, the ultimate step-by-step guide to making money by somebody who has done it. Which is a pretty no-nonsense title there. There's no wondering what it's going to be about and or the capabilities of the author. So, the ultimate step-by-step guide to making money by somebody who has done it. Why did you go to business in the first place? Did you accidentally just buy yourself a job? Mary Philippou is one of the best business strategic minds in the entrepreneurial space today, with her business experience now covering over 30 years, including raising a family while having a life of balance, dancing and fun. With her knowledge, skills and expertise in sales, communication, people, networks, negotiation, she now turns her attention to helping others achieve financial success in their product-based business. She wants to show women how to enjoy family life and claim the freedom that a business should deliver while making money, and for that to stop being a dirty word once and for all. Mary aims to make women love sales, love making money while enjoying the profit at all things and all that brings to life: freedom, lifestyle, and peace of mind. This book covers the numbers, selling from the heart, creativity, money mindset, goals, planning, balance, and a whole lot more. All wrapped around her mantra of passion, people, perseverance, being proactive, and positioning yourself as the expert in your field of excellence. Perfect for those screaming for profit, who have run out of excuses, who have run out of time, and whom failure is simply not an option. So that is Show Me the Money for Those Screaming for Profit, the ultimate step-by-step guide to making money by somebody who has done it, by Mary Philippou, or Philippou. I'm not too sure if I'm pronouncing it.
Philippou, you're quite correct.
Wonderful. I'm thinking as in the tennis player as well. So there we go. So very excited to hear what Mary has to say for this one. As we were saying before the news, it's pretty timely. But what about yourself, Veronica? Any news on this post-COVID for Darren special episode?
Post-COVID for Darren. That's a bit sad, isn't it? Well,
test to be confirmed, however. Yeah.
Yes, fingers crossed. Apart from my son also having COVID, which is pretty tragic. So hello to Angus. He's perhaps at home listening to his mother on the podcast and not being able to do his own podcast, but there we go. But my daughter was negative, so she thought she had it and she didn't. So that's also a good thing.
Excellent.
I thought that I would share 5 ways your business will benefit from you writing a book. So again, as mentioned, I am a serial small business entrepreneur, and there are certainly some good reasons for small business people if that is your thing. I haven't written a book about my business, about coaching or my consulting. That's kind of a different side of what I do with my professional life, and my author and entrepreneur life is a little bit different again. But if you are in business, writing a book could be really helpful. So you'll find lots of websites and lots of short courses and lots of help for people who want to write a business-focused book. This particular article is from entrepreneur.com. And one of the ways is that writing a book establishes credibility. When you've written a book, you do get a notch up on the league of credibility, even if it's not about business. The fact that you've written something, the fact that you publish it even more, and the fact that it's out there and other people are reading it is incredible. So thank you to all our wonderful readers who are out there reading our stories or reading our factual books or reading our memoirs. So writing a book establishes credibility. And in business, credibility matters, especially when you work in the kind of business to business realm. So this particular article mentions that 86% of customers check reviews for online businesses before they make a purchase. And if you've got a book out there, they want to see that you are an expert in your niche. And Mary talks a little bit about that in our interview. So writing a book is a surefire way to establish yourself as a thought leader, because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So that's a quote from Simon Sinek, and lots of business people will know of his work. And it really is true that in business, it's about relationships and it's about the person as opposed to just being about the thing or the widget or the service, whatever that might be. So if you have written a book, if you've collated your thoughts, if you've got something that you can share, it really adds to your credibility. Number 2, it's a PR opportunity. So publishing a book, it can be a good way to share about your expertise. You can pitch it to news media, or you can help. It could be part of interviews, as it was with Mary chatting to us. It can help you with your coverage in kind of local level, like newspapers or radio, things like that. Number 3, it provides a mailing list sign-up incentive. So thinking about this from the person who's going to sign up's point of view, if you sign up to somebody's mailing list, it's not just to get a free book or whatever, but generally it's because you're interested in what they have and how they do it and why they do it. So as long as somebody doesn't spam you, and send you something every day or twice a day, or someone who's inconsistent, perhaps like the Australian book lovers who get around to it every now and again. But it does give you an incentive to sign people up, and a lot of businesses will give away a short story or a free book in exchange for having that person on their list that they can then form a deeper relationship with. Number 4, it establishes multiple revenue streams. So if it's a really good book and it's an opportunity to sell it, that could be a little bit more revenue in your pocket. And the last one that they suggest is that it increases your visibility and demand. So when you write a really authoritative book, you can increase your visibility in your industry in particular, and then naturally, it's an increase in the number of people who are interested in doing business with you. So there you go. The example they give, which is interesting, this is Tim Ferriss. He achieved notoriety with his 2007 book, The 4-Hour Workweek, which I just happened to buy for my son this year. So even though it's, more than 10 years later, and it was based on his earlier entrepreneurial experiences, it was a New York Times bestseller, and it earned him a whole lot of coverage in national publications. So he used his fame to become an angel investor and launched a successful podcast. So it goes on. You just never know when the words that you put on paper are going to be that point in either your business or your writing career. There you go. That's my news.
But I think that's really cool idea or cool concept to pursue, and especially regardless of what each of us might do, as far as perhaps it's a hobby or something you've been doing for a long time that you're looking at becoming a business, or maybe it's a small business but you want to get better. But sometimes when you're pursuing, if every day you're waking up and you want to get better at something, I like to think of it as you're always looking up towards the top of the mountain, and you're always looking for guidance from people that might be up high, closer to the peak than yourself, and you take that advice, or you follow certain pathways, or whatever it might be, but nonetheless the gaze is to the top excuse me, to the top of the mountain. But what's easy to forget is the people behind that may be just starting their journey and maybe at the base of the mountain, and therefore it can be easy to forget sometimes the value that each of us might have in guiding people from the bottom to where to that position where you are now. And so I suspect that if someone were to sit down and even write a short book, when I say short book, like condensed book about a non-fiction book about a business, or even about a business idea, or what skills you can bring, it might be a really interesting exercise of self-discovery, and you might realise you actually do have a lot that you can show somebody or teach somebody, and therefore it follows then that there's confidence that can come from that, and then that confidence you use to step forward and climb higher up the mountain. Absolutely.
And putting together a non-fiction book and sort of gathering your thoughts into something that's publishable also gives you a deal of clarity and helps you shape the expertise that you might want to teach, because I'm always reminded of the Gloria Steinem quote, which is, we teach what we need to learn and we write what we need to know. So part of that, of course, is that if you need to teach it, you need to get it organised. So putting it into a book, or articles, or short essays, really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to something like Show Me the Money, and this is a personal opinion, but the learning part, or the insights that can be gained, I think, especially in matters such as this, where they have real world applications and real world possibilities, I think personally reading about somebody's experience and reading the guides and reading the tips, it can be a lot more beneficial than, say, for example, just watching a video.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
just listening to an audio, because there's something about being able to flick back a paragraph or two, or zip forward and really just, pause, put the book down for a second, have a think how it, a certain phrase may relate to maybe an issue you're trying to work through in your own life, whether it be personal, business, what it might be. But yeah, there's something magnificent about, being able to, what's that old scenario? Stand on the shoulder of giants.
Yeah, absolutely.
And books really are, they're the microscopic parts of the bone that makes up the shoulders of giants.
I like that. And of course, a book is something that you can, if you're terrible with books or with non-fiction books like me, you can highlight, you can tag the pages. And some of my favourite non-fiction books, you are barely holding together because I use them over and over, and I love their favourite bits, and I go back and reread things, and it's the kind of authors then that I love and follow whatever they are going to bring out. So yeah. Good.
And there's almost an unspoken kinship, isn't there? Sometimes, like for example, if you do pick up a non-fiction book that is, ultra specific to something that you treasure in life, whether it be you're learning a new skill, or you've already, you want to advance a skill, or for example, you pick up a book on writing and you read a book, talking about maybe horror writing for me, the art of horror writing, something along those lines. But reading it, there's a kinship with the author straight away. And because it's almost like there's a language within the language. And so there's that, and then, oh wow, yeah, I thought about that, but I never thought of it like that. And, there's magical little secret layers to unravel when you kind of share that unspoken language, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Like there's terminology. Yeah. So there's I think there's a lot of joy to be found in exploring non-fiction books that have a direct relationship to something that's important to you. And, you're never going to be, almost never going to be disappointed. And the theory is every time you do take the plunge and read a book that's correlates to something that's really important to you, that's whatever it is that is important to you will become better, and your relationship will grow stronger with that thing, person, whatever it might be in life. So yeah. And tell me, what were some key points you think that you drew from the conversation you had with Mary?
Let me just switch to the page.
Because you obviously, you've come from a business background and a self-employed background, so I'll be curious to hear, after the interview and from the interview, what you might have drawn from there that you perhaps hadn't thought about or didn't think about in that particular way.
Yep, absolutely. So let's, without further ado, jump into
why not? Yes,
my interview with Mary Philippou.
Woohoo! Show me the money.
And welcome, Australian book lovers, to another author interview. I have with me today Mary Philippou. Mary is a business mentor, and she has a fabulous book titled Show Me the Money for Those Screaming for Profit. So I am coming to you today from Woiwurrung, Wurundjeri country, and I am welcoming Mary. Hello, Mary Philippou.
Good morning, Veronica, and I congratulate you on pronouncing my surname perfectly.
Excellent.
Not many can do that. Thank you for having me today. It's been thank you for reaching out, and it's a real pleasure to be able to be part of the Australian Book Lovers Club. And I am an Australian, but I'm a Greek heritage Australian. So living in Melbourne, and love to share some wisdom and some inspiration to your listeners.
Fantastic. And Mary, I have to say that I absolutely love the cover of your book. And if our listeners want to know why, go and have a look at the non-fiction page on australianbooklovers.com, or you can have a look at Mary's website, which we'll tell you at the end of the interview. But it is just fantastic. And it is so representative of Show Me the Money for Those Screaming for Profit. I think it's fantastic.
Well, Veronica, when I sat down to write the book, I thought about what title it would be. And some 12 years ago, I attended to write a book with Emily Gower. I did one of her writing weekend sessions, and all I could think of was the foundations of business, and nothing came to me. And of course, when you're menopausal and you go through depression, not much comes to you until afterwards.
Right. Yep.
But when I finally got this opportunity to write this book, and that's a story in itself, and having been a business owner of 30 years and also experiencing failure and success, and during the last 12 years, while mentoring not only women, but men too, but mostly women, I just found women just weren't able to understand the making of money in their business. And I think when I sat down with my then coach to help me write this book, because I needed someone to guide me and support me through this process.
Yep.
I wanted a bold statement, and I wanted to sort of say, you know, and I mean, I do wear red lipstick and I do have bold
red
features.
lipstick is a fabulous thing.
Red lipstick. And I wanted to reach out and tell women, hey, listen, you got to make bloody money. If you're in business, it's not a charity. You got to make money. So I think screaming for profit, I wanted to stand out from any other book out there. And I wrote the book on sharing my knowledge and my story about how I was successful and how I came across the success that I came. And I'm not a novelist reader. I'm a movie girl, I'll tell you that. But the movie Jerry Maguire, Show Me the Money, is indicative of my business, how I conduct my business and how I ever became successful, because I built it on the foundation of customer service with my clients.
Yes.
And how I grew from a $10,000 a year account to $350,000 a year account. And I multiplied that with, you know, maybe a dozen good companies Australia-wide. So for me, it was about relationship building, and the profit comes at the end, which is very similar to the movie as Jerry Maguire. If anyone's watched it, go and watch it. But that's the message. And it's all about your heart. So it goes about with my 5 mantras, which is passion and enthusiasm, because that's where we get our drive and enthusiasm. Then we go down to people, which is a connection of people. And we connect with people. We build relationships. We build, you know, we follow through with integrity. We have our suppliers or our support system, whatever it is that comes under people. And then the perseverance is about, you know, how, you know, can you withstand working 15-hour a day on your business, regardless of what's happening in your personal life? I mean, I had a young family. I was working long hours, but, you know, I had this drive that I had to succeed in this business, and I was making money for my family. So, and then the proactive, which is about, you know, thinking outside the box, taking bold steps, spending money to make money, and just take the action. And then the last bit is the profit. And it's not just paying ourselves a measly $500 wage. It's taking a wage of 70, 80K a year, then the profit thereafter.
Yep.
And then how do business owners sustain that year in, year out, year in, year out? So that's the magic. How do you stay in business after 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? You know, you've got to sustain that. And that's what I'm about. I'm about laying the right foundations, teaching women, laying the right foundations and how to navigate through their lives in business and supporting and working and having children, because that's exactly what I did. And
doing all of it. So
and doing all of it, as all women do, yes.
Yeah. What inspired you? Because I love on your website you have teach, guide and inspire. And that's, you know, 3 beautiful words that, you know, I can hear the passion in your voice and the enthusiasm and absolutely understand about relationships. So tell me, let's start with, why were you inspired to write a book?
Okay.
Why a book? You're obviously, you know, busy and good at, or, you know, fabulous at running your business, but why did a book come into the picture?
Okay. So look, I started business at the age of 27. So let's go back a bit. So I started at 27. I went into a family business. We built, we were manufacturers and we built a brand. So we sold, I had a family member who was a designer, and I was the other director that took the brand nationally. So we employed staff and we had agents Australia-wide. So it started from that. We built a solid brand, and the steps that we took in that business was to build the brand step by step. So that was connecting with the market, building rapport to the consumers, you know. So we start off selling to, so if we had upmarket tracksuits, I would approach the gyms to where everyone wore leisure wear, you know what I mean? And because of our quality and our styling and our quality, the word spread very quickly. So in our 5th year of business, we were approached by department stores. So we were approached by David Jones, the menswear, the women's wear, then George's, and then the snowball began. So very quickly, we climbed through retail status right across Australia, and we even exported to New Zealand. Now, that commenced in 8-9 years, and we grew steadily because I wanted to control the growth, because it was important to me that we supplied quality and service at every goal. So I wasn't interested in growing 400%, because that to me would say we're going to sacrifice on customer service, we're going to sacrifice on quality. And I also have a family. I'm not going to leave my kids and work crazy hours traveling all over the world or Australia trying to build a brand, because I wasn't about that. If I wasn't going to have a quality of life and grow this company steadily and deliver with integrity, it meant nothing to me. So that was the belief that I had, and that's the belief how I drove it. So we get to 1991, we had a recession, as you may recall.
Yes.
During that time, we had some trauma within the business. I lost vital staff. I employed mainly females, so of course they went off and had babies, and 2 of our directors had split up. So that caused the company some real constraints. And then when we come to do our intermittent figures in the business, we found that we were trading as a loss. So straight away we had to proceed to go into voluntary liquidation. During this time, we bought our own premises as well. My husband, who wasn't part of the business, but he was my husband, and so he had actually built our head office, you know, down near the Yarra River, down in Abbotsford. So everything was set up beautifully, but unfortunately, we had to honour the commitment to, you know, to the liquidation that we were running insolvent, and we had to commence liquidation. So during that time, I took stride and was instrumental in controlling the costs that were going out to the liquidators. So I would ring every of my suppliers, tell them of our business situation and how that was going to affect them, and took steps to collect debtors, pay all my entitlements to my staff, ring all our creditors straight from the get-go. So I was up front straight from the get-go. Did everything with integrity. Myers had then came to the forefront because I didn't want to sell to Myers. So Myers had come to us to buy stock. And at this time, it was a bittersweet blow. So I had $40,000 sitting on the floor with stock. And then they come up and buy all the stock, and they paid us in 7 days. So that helped pay all our situations. So anyway, so the business was cleaned up. I cleaned everything up, sold our assets, sold our factory, sold our vehicles, sold everything up. And then I was looking down the barrel of what to do. My sister the other partner had got another job, and I was left there cleaning up, you know, the company. So I learned a lot through that. I learned a lot through costs. I learned a lot the importance of bookkeeping. So
and some difficult conversations there too, Mary. They are not easy conversations to have.
No, they're not easy conversations, but that's the reality. That's the reality of business. So that was my first 9 years, and then being the face of the company, I then was approached. Now 50%. So if you can imagine, Veronica, that Country Road out there is a brand name, that they've got their retail stores and whatnot, and they look towards, corporate approaches them and says that we want to be able to supply us with your product, but we want to put our name on it. So that's what happened to our company. So then I was approached by the NAB Bank. I was approached by the Young Presidents Association. We were approached by many corporate companies. This was during our business, and we were supplying retail, and we were also doing wholesale at the same time. So then the wholesale business was sort of helping us with our retail business, because we had to spend money up front to supply product and manufacture product for the retailers. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So most businesses are also like direct to retail, but they also do wholesale, because that's the only way you can survive in this game. And that was back then as well. So then after having some time off with my young children and taking a very well-earned break and sleeping a lot, as you can imagine, because I was preparing, you know, bank cash flows, I was preparing everything and cleaning up the business and winding things up. So then I was approached by other people and, you know, to start up again. And so basically we set up again, and I had a business called Corporate Innovations. My husband built me, he's a carpenter, so he built me a little desk, and I had a little office in my home. He says, okay, Mares, you've only got 5,000 to start with. That's all I'm giving you, because we've lost everything. If you want to start again, this is what I've got to do. And I had this drive, Veronica. I had this drive to succeed. I lost, you know, thousands and thousands. We lost our factory. We lost our car. I lost my integrity. You know, I wanted to do it all over again to show that I could do this, you know. So that was the drive and the passion that I had. And plus there was a niche. And so I took time to start again. But this time the model was different. So before, we would pay for everything to be delivered up front. So we had to finance the ranges to be done, because we had to do this every 6 months. So this time it meant for me to get deposits up front. So if I got an order for 10,000, I get 5,000 up front, and then I can proceed and do the order. I can go and buy the materials, do the job, and then deliver. So the structure had become quite differently. That was the beginning. So I started that business in where are we? Oh, I don't know. My daughter was, 1990 we finished up. So 1992, I had 4 months off. I started again in the following year. I just was going, just go. I started slowly. The first year, I think I turned over, 30,000 or, 50,000 or whatever. And then within 5 years, my husband was always having a hold on my eagerness to go again, because he wasn't prepared to lose any more money. The
grounding person. Yep, it's important.
Yes, well, I'm the entrepreneur and the driven partner, and he's the quiet achiever. So he supported me throughout the whole thing, and I started again. And so what happened? I started again, and I was growing, and and before you knew it, I was turning over $500,000 in this little office I have here that I'm sitting in with you now. And I started again. So I got that business well and truly up to over $1 million again. And that, I was in this second business for about 25 years.
Fantastic.
So, overall, I've been a business owner for most of my adult life. And now when I turned 50, that's what happens. Women turn 50, they go through these changes, and you might know this yourself.
Absolutely. It was there a decade ago, but yes, I remember it well.
So I went through these changes, and I kept saying to my husband, I want to teach others. I want to teach the foundations of business. But why? Because I have this knowledge. I've got to share it. Anyway, he says to me, you can't do that. So I firstly started with Business Wings. So I started a company called Business Wings, and look, that was my first thing, Business Wings, and I spent a bit of money in trying to do that sort of business. And what I was finding, Veronica, everywhere I did all the network events. I went to BNI, I went to female network events. Every woman I met was a business coach. Every woman I met. Every woman I met. There were 30-year-olds who were business coaches, who were business mentors, but I was disillusioned by this market because there was no integrity in these people. They're business owners, but they're not business owners. They came from a corporate world, earned six-figure digits, and they call themselves business coaches. How are they going to help these women in business? What knowledge were they to share with these people? Tell me, what did they have to offer? So what I did first up to build integrity and a brand for myself, I straight away, I looked into the niche scheme. And I commenced mentoring for 5 of the government and the TAFEs around Melbourne. I started working with Swinburne, RMIT and Kangan Institute to do this work, which is niche mentoring. Okay, so there I could share all my knowledge with all these students who were starting up their businesses.
Yep.
So that was my first flavour. Now,
and mentoring is so important, isn't it? When you're starting a small business, to have somebody who has done the deed and is able to give you that insider information. Small businesses are so reliant on relationships. That's fantastic.
Well, that's what I wanted to do. And so I didn't want to call myself a coach. I wasn't a coach because anyone can be a coach. If you look up a mentor is someone who guides someone and teaches them through their knowledge.
Yeah.
What I had to offer was knowledge. I had so much knowledge. Now, because I'm an entrepreneur, I try to do the Cert 4 training and assessment. I didn't want to be governed by government to teach a certain way because I'm not that type of person. I am a very fiery Leo, a very independent woman.
Yep.
And I knew how I wanted to teach these people. And mentoring was the only platform that I felt was right for me because I could teach them the knowledge that I had.
Yep.
Which is the real world, right?
Yeah.
So I probably mentored in that 12 years. I probably mentored over maybe 400 young men and women from all sorts of ages, from probably 19 to 40 or 45, because the niche schemes offers anyone an opportunity who has an idea in business to actually go to the niche program where you'll join up, you'll do a 6-week business course, you'll do a marketing course, you do a business plan, you do a cash flow and all that sort of stuff. But I was coming from the real world. So I wanted to share my knowledge from the hands-on business owner and teach them the pitfalls about pricing, about marketing, how to connect with their audience, how to sell. So I wanted to teach them all those things that I so successfully had done and failed at. Particularly
and succeeded at. Yeah, that's right. As you say, succeed and fail. So you've seen it from all sides, and you've done the small and you've done the,
exactly.
in a company, and you've done on your own. So that is absolutely invaluable information. Yeah.
So then I got to, so that went on for quite a while. Now, my husband and I, we had many arguments and said, listen, give up the fight. You're never going to be anything. Right? That's what he said to me.
How can he say that to you?
Oh, yeah. Because I'm telling you the truth. Listeners, be careful of your partners. Women, watch out for those guys because they're out there. My husband's a classic. I'll tell you it is, right? And so part of this determination, before it was I lost the business, a part of this determination to be successful as a mentor now, not running a business, but as a consultant or as a mentor to help others. This is my last bit of my passion now. This is the passion that I have for the rest of my life. And I'm here to prove a point.
Yep.
Because, my kids feel the same as well. They're adult kids. And I said, come on, Mum, you don't have to prove anything to us. We know you're successful. You've done it all. Yeah, but I'm not gone.
You're not finished yet, and I think it's the way, Mary, isn't it, for and it's not just women in this instance. I know it's difficult for men as they get a little older as well, but for women in particular, when you get to a certain age, there is kind of, well, aren't you going to go, isn't that enough? But I'm not finished, and I think of, well, actually I can't think of my mum because she died before she got to my age, but I think of women of my age 10, 15, 20 years ago, and it was different. The world was different. But I still see people look at me and think, yeah, isn't she done yet? And I know, as a serial small business entrepreneur, similar to yourself, there's so many more things that I want to do, hence starting up the Australian Book Lovers, with Darren and putting together the business plan and, setting ourselves in place and taking our steps and wanting to give back to a community that for the writing community I'm just getting into, but also in terms of my other work, continuing it's interesting. You get to a stage where you realize that you're not the one taking advice so much, but the switch is that now you're the one giving more advice. And that is an interesting moment, because then you realize, as you've done, that there is so much that you can share.
And so what happened as I got older, Veronica, I was getting into my 50s, right? So once I dealt with menopause and the depression that came with all that, my mum started getting sick. My mum now, so my background is Greek heritage. I'm the second eldest of a first generation Greek family that came from Cyprus. So my mum had quite a lot of depression, and I was probably, we come from a family of 6. I'm probably, one of the family members that takes the action and helps my family, you know what I mean, apart from my other sister, but I'm the one that does all the difficult stuff, looking after mum and stuff. So that took a big hold of me. And so the passion that I had, my family came first. So I was sort of doing a bit of part-time work. So what happened when I got to my 50s and I was over the business, so I was over corporate innovations, I had got to the turnover that I wanted to reach. I got to the top of the tree I wanted to go to. In 2004, when things changed, the internet had come in, and I was manufacturing at this point, and I had solid accounts. So when the internet had come in and things were coming manufactured from overseas, the business model had changed. And so by then I was tired. I was running out of steam. I was changing. I was, this famous word pivoting now. Everyone talks about pivoting. I've been pivoting since the age of 27. All of a sudden it's trend now. It's on trend. Everything's on trend, so it's pivot, and I've been pivoting all my life. Yeah. And I'm just saying, I just get on with the job, and it's real, So when you lose sales, you go out and you change. So I kept changing and changing. But what I'm very good at is cold calling. So I would pack up and I'd go cold call, and I'd go and knock on doors to meet new clients. And that's what I did to change the business model. And I did that in between, but I got to 58 or 57. I was sort of over it. I had an opportunity to work with World Vision through my cold calling, and built and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be said, but we only got an hour. So
that's right.
So through my cold calling, I met this client. We built the relationship, because these are all part of the steps that the book shows you, the step-by-step process about how to win clients, how to build the relationship. And that's what I did, and that's what I talk about. Yeah. So I had an opportunity to work with World Vision. I was doing small jobs for World Vision through this contact that I had. And it got to a point where it was going to be quite a large account, nearly $250,000. And by this stage, I was 58. I ran out of steam. And I said to my husband, I don't want to do this. I don't want to borrow money anymore. I don't want to do this. I've had enough, And I spoke to an associate of mine who did all my printing, and he was an associate, a supplier of mine. And he said, Mary, why don't you go and approach your competitor? So I went and approached a competitor of mine who was turning over 10 mil, much bigger than I, of course. I approached them. Like I said, I can ring anybody and have a conversation about anything. Fantastic. So I rang him. We had a coffee. I said, I've got this opportunity. I'm working on my own now. My husband doesn't work with me anymore. We were this size. The business is dwindling because I've lost interest. And do you want to take it over? Basically. Yep. We did the deal. So he took over whatever accounts I had. He was going to pay me commission, but I shared an office and all the rest. And I was going to work there. But, the ironic thing is, Veronica, if you're meant to be a business owner, you're meant to be a business owner. Yes, right? It's
very hard to work for somebody else once you've done
How long do you think I lasted in that role?
Oh, I'm going to say weeks, maybe.
Oh, I went for 6 months at least.
6 months. That's fantastic. That shows persistence, the perseverance that you mentioned. Yes.
Yes. Well, I wanted to give it a chance because my marriage and my relationship with my husband was important. And I wanted to give it last shot because I knew I did everything on my own with my own resources. The industry had changed. This is my last chance to either work with someone else, with a team, and I was just going to be a team member and someone else was going to run the show and I was just going to do the sales. They were only paying me 30% gross profit, which was nothing really. we were having a conversation. He says, Mary, how do you think things are working out? Look, I'm doing the best I can. We are moving into a season where the industry picks up, the promotional market, it picks up.
Yep.
And he says, look, we don't think this is working out. We think we'd like to sever ties. And I walked out there celebrating. I was kicking my heels because, Veronica, what I'm about to tell you, what is meant to happen has happened.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we get to a point in our lives that we're here for the bigger picture. Now, during my 50s, I was working on spirituality. I was working on myself. I was working on gratitude. I was working on what is the bigger picture for me. You know, I want to help others. How can I help others?
Yeah.
So these are all the steps, but I had to get rid of the old before I could start the new.
Yeah.
That's the message. I had to get rid of the old before I started the new. So this last 12 years has been winding down the old and working on the new, you know.
It's just fantastic. It often is the way, Mary, and particularly, you know, having been there myself and done some parts of a very similar journey to yourself, is that you are at the top of your game. You know, you're running businesses. I was running hospitals and running my own business and those kind of things. And you go, well, here I am, successful, well paid, respected in my profession. My kids are all doing very well, got a good relationship with my husband. So why aren't I happier than I am? Why am I still looking for other things?
Yeah.
And then to look inside and say, well, what is it about myself? What is it that gives me the passion? What is it that drives me? Yeah. So absolutely understand that is so often a journey that, you know, women, I could, you know, speak for myself, and I know some men do it as well. But having made that journey and taken a lot of those steps with female colleagues, that this is a really important part of women finding their way to what they love.
So then I took a journey of self-discovery. Who am I? So I reached out to astrology, numerology, doing my life path numbers, what I'm here to do. So I'm a master builder, right? I'm a builder of businesses. So I'm a master builder, right? But I do it from the foundations. If the foundations are not solid, you can't build. So I believe what I've done for 30 years, I've built solid foundations that gave me financial success. I was earning 200,000 plus every year, looking after my whole family, right? Year in, year out, year in, year out. How do you do that without having the foundations? But then, Veronica, every business has a timeline.
Yes. Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Every business has a timeline.
Yeah.
Every business has a timeline. My timeline was at that timeline. I reached 2 businesses at my peak. There was nothing for me to achieve. I've done everything. I even tried working for others. I took 3-4 years to work with other people, had a few jobs here and there, here and there. I'd go into other jobs. I help them. I go as a salesperson, but I end up helping fixing their problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the people that run businesses, they don't understand how to run businesses.
No, a lot of people jump in without nearly enough planning.
These businesses have been going on for 20 years, but no one's making money. They run a business, but they don't know how to make money. And so I was able to pick those things up straight away because I've got an innate business mind. I don't turn over billions of dollars. I'm not about those people. I'm about the solid foundations to help ordinary women run small businesses and to earn a living for themselves and for their family. Right? I don't turn over anything. You know, I'm not anyone famous or anything like that. I'm just an ordinary person who has a solid foundation about how to make money. And there are a lot of people out there, small businesses, micro businesses, that don't know how to do that. Yeah. And that's the message I want to share. That's how I want to help people. How do I do that? I wrote the book. So
yes. So the book is there. Yeah.
So I wrote the book. So what happened? I've been doing so because I'm a responsible partner and because I am a driven person. I love money. I'll tell you, I love money. Money for me provides me freedom, provides me options, provides me choice.
Yeah.
So I don't have to be a proud person. I will go out and do market research. I will go out and push shelving if I have to. If I have to pack shelves to make ends meet, I will do that, right? I don't have to have a prestigious job. I just had to make sure that my family was solid and my family was safe because I had my own aspirations.
Yeah.
And so I still continue to do market research and earn my $30 an hour. So I can then still have the money to put into this other passion that I have, like we all are doing. And so I don't let my family down. I don't let my husband down. My kids are adults. They've got their own homes. They've, you know, I've raised a solid family, and I'm very proud that my adult children have learnt from us, because it's about, for me, it's about teaching our children the success of life, not just about money, but how to have a happy life, how to have a family life.
How to find
And
that
how does
balance. And that's been so important for you, hasn't it?
It has been very important. And I do that for my mother and father, and I do it for anyone that I touch, whether it's friends or family. That balance is the same. I could see someone and they're worrying about they're working their ass off, but they've got a dwindling marriage. But you can't have a dwindling marriage, because in the end, that's not important, the business, if you don't have a marriage.
Yeah.
You've got to have a family life. That's important. And what's money if you don't have the other?
So,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mary, can you tell us, let's go to the actual writing of the book, because I know that there's a story behind that. It almost poured out of you. Tell me a little bit about the when you actually, sat down to write the book.
Okay. Because I'm a doer and I'm an entrepreneur and I'm always on the go and always trying to be a supportive wife and partner. Not a wife, because I'm not that dutiful wife. I'm a wife that cares, right? And I love my husband, and I do the things for both of us.
Yep.
It's for both of us, right? It's for our family, whatever it is for our family. So because I'm very energetic and I don't give up, I do many things. I can do many things, right? So during this time, my mum was taken ill and we had to put her into a home, and that was happening over a course of a few years. So then my eldest brother, who's also got depression, he's a schizophrenic, and I was helping him as well. In the meantime, we have a property in Dramana that we needed to renovate before a new tenant. So this is all our hard work from the years go by, because if you lose a business and you lose money, I still kept going to make sure I don't lose the assets that I have for our financial future, which is now. I'm in my middle 60s now, and this is here for our family. And that's why you need to have financial plan to have an aging life, however that comes. So I made a decision to go up to help my husband clean the property. This is a Monday morning. Now, in the meantime, so I'm 62. In the meantime, a girlfriend of mine had found a person who she had listened to actually help you write a book to be the best in your field.
Right, yep.
And so that resonated with me. I spoke to this person and I had a few long, intensive discussions with my husband. And he says, why do you want to do this? I said, Ray, I can't help it. I've got to share this story. I've got to share my knowledge to these people who are in business. He said, it's all right for you. You were there supporting me, but you never did it. You never walked the streets. You never went cold calling. You never worked okay, you did with me, but you never stayed up fixing the problems. I did all those things. I've got something to tell people. I've got something to share. And I knew I had to write a book, but I didn't know how to write a book. I didn't know what to write. I didn't know how to write, because I never sat still long enough to do it, because I'm looking after my family.
Doing so much, juggling everything, yeah.
Right. We go up there and I go up to Dramana. It's Monday morning. And I wasn't right in my mind emotionally, because I felt it, because I go down to Dramana wearing my best jacket. I didn't wear the oldest tracksuit. I wear the best jacket, right? So that's how crazy I am, right? And my husband says to me, now, Mares, don't forget to bring up this tool and that tool, because he was already up there. I said, okay. I go up there and he says, what are you doing with your best jacket? I don't know. So I go down to the op shop in Dramana and I go to the Red Cross and I said, oh, can I just buy some? I'm just looking to, that'll do. So I spent $10 on a cheap pair of pants and a cheap jacket. Because to me, I always will spend anything to get the job done. That's how I roll, right?
Yep.
Anyway, So Ray says to me, okay, Mares, you go down, get on the little ladder and you clean the gutters of the garage. I said, okay, I can do that. Now, Veronica, I'm not stupid. I know to be on a ladder, I have to be on solid ground.
Yes.
I was checking the solid ground. So anyway, I'm up on the ladder and it was raining, right? It's spitting. It's cool. It's spitting.
Fabulous.
It's spitting. So I'm on the ladder and I get down and I'm approaching it and I'm doing it again. And I go on to the second step and I slipped off the second step and fell on the ground. It's only a meter. It's not the ground that worried me, but I landed on a tree stump.
Oh, yo.
So my ankle twisted one way and my bone of my ankle came out.
Youch.
So I had a hole in my ankle as big as a tennis ball.
Damn.
So I'm screaming to Ray. He's at the front of the house. I'm screaming to Ray. Ray. It was white. He says, Mares, what have you done? I said, I'm sorry, I fell, and I'm crying. And all I thought of is, oh, my God, how's Ray going to finish the house?
Oh.
I'm not here to help. I'm not here to help him. That's all I thought of.
Oh, Mary. Goodness me. Yeah.
And then my dad, then my mum, then my brother. I didn't think about me. I just thought of everybody else.
Everyone
and
is
I'm laying
depending
there,
on you. Yeah.
and he says, Mares, I've got to call the ambulance. He's white. He says, you're going to get cold. You're going to get, Ray, I don't care how effing cold I am. I've got a hole in my leg. So give me the phone. I'll ring the ambulance. He couldn't even do anything. Anyway, so Veronica, so that's what happened. I was rushed to hospital. I had a compound fracture. I had morphine. The girls came. The ambulance came. Now, this is how crazy it is, right? The two paramedics came. Okay, listeners, all right, you're going to get really weird about this, but they came, two young women in their mid-20s, 28-year-olds.
Yep.
Their names were Jess and Alana. Well, they're the names of my two kids.
Spooky.
I went, oh, my God, this is meant to happen.
Yep.
I took time of the date. It was some remarkable date. I went into Ward 1, which is number 1. It was the 21st of February or whatever it was. 2 and 1's are 3. I was going through my third year of my numerology journey. If the things didn't align, I'd go home. So it was like
all meant to be, as you said earlier. You know what?
I said,
what's
okay,
meant to
universe, you got your wish.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, Veronica, I was having car accidents. Prior to that, I was not to my fault, but people were hitting me, and I knew there was a message in car accidents.
You were getting the nudges to do something else. You're not quite in the right spot. Yeah,
I was getting nudges. People were hitting me. I had fractured arms. His race. My husband would say, "What is wrong with you?" I don't know. I'm getting these messages, right?
Yeah.
I had to sit still. So then, anyway, I had the procedure. Everything. So I've got a compound fracture. I've got screws and plates on one side, and I had to be all stitched up. I was in hospital for 2 days. I had to stay home for 6 months. I was bedridden with my foot elevated for 3 months.
Very hard for you, Mary, with so much drive to just sit.
You have no idea. So anyway, I rang up this coach. I'm in hospital and I knew what was happening.
Yep.
The universe had thrown me a wobbly.
Yep.
I'm sitting
so
in
if you
bed.
won't sit still, let's see if we can make you sit still.
Yeah, I'm in bed and I'm organising my eldest brother's, because he got kicked out of his last home, and I had to find him a new residence for the mental health. So I had to find him a new residence. I got a drip going into me. I'm sorting out all these problems. I come home. I got him settled. My husband set up the room in my bedroom like a hospital ward. I knew I had to keep still. If I wanted to be a healthy 70-year-old and not have any further damage, I had to stay still. My beautiful husband and my children were looking after me. And then I texted Katrina, who was the coach helping me, how to become an expert in your field. So I engaged her. My husband agreed. I borrowed the money to do this job. I took out some shares that I had actually for a rainy day.
Yep.
I said, Ray, I'm going to take out these shares. It was
This is a rainy day. Absolutely.
And I said, I've got to do this. Okay, Mez, I'll support you again. I said, thanks, hon. This is the last hurrah. Please let me do it. She flew down and I've got my leg elevated. my body's out of action, but my head was okay.
Yes.
So we sat down for 2 days and we did a business plan. Ray was included because it was important that my husband was involved, because I never done any business without his support and his knowing what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And there we sat and we did the business plan for 2 days.
Fantastic.
And then COVID come.
Yes.
And then everything that I did went out the window. So there you go.
But it gave you the time to write your book. So, Mary, what do you think? And I know there is all of the practical stuff in your book. There's all the things about your, your 5 mantras and that kind of thing. But what do you think is the message that you want to give women that comes through? And I can hear it in the words that you talk about. But what is the message in the book for women out there in business or thinking about starting a business?
It's not all glitz and glamour, Veronica.
Yeah.
When I mentor people, I mean, I'm doing some work with Global Sisters right now. I'm doing some pro bono work because I want to help women. So I'm doing pro bono, right? I'm here. I was here at home. I couldn't get clients. So I was helping others, helping others women in their 50s or in their 40s who have come through either domestic violence or hardships or have lost their jobs after being in corporate for 20 years and they've got to start all over again, or their husbands have left them. So I'm just there doing some pro bono work, helping others, trying to navigate through a business that they have no idea on.
Yeah, what's your message for them then? What if you had a minute or two with a woman who's given you her story, what is the message that is in your book?
I guess the message is learn how. Not everyone knows how to run a business, Veronica, but there are so many coaches. I see them every day on social media, LinkedIn, people are everywhere. Find the right person for yourself.
Yeah.
Anyone that gives you a 50-page booklet, here, go and do the work, that's bullshit. You can't have that. You need someone who feels your pain. You need someone that can hold your hand, that can support you, that can guide you through the processes.
And that's such an important message, isn't it? Because there are many people out there who do a whole range of coaching and mentoring and all of things there, but it's finding the right person, the one that resonates with you, with your values, with your practices, with your business.
Exactly.
And making sure that you work with somebody who is right for you. Yeah, that is
because
important.
Veronica, it doesn't matter. You can meet many professionals in your life. There are a lot of people that can do a great job. You could go, would you just go to any doctor or any dentist? You need a referral.
Definitely not. As somebody in the health sector, no, I always shop around.
Right.
Or I ask my friends who are in the know, hey, I'm looking for this kind of thing. Yeah.
Businesses are no different.
Yes.
I stepped down. I let it go. In my late 50s, I let it go. That's why I went and did cold. I went and did sales for other people. I went and did cold calling. I did anything to have fun, right? Because I saw this industry as a scam and I didn't want to be part of that coaching scam. I've gone to the Coaching Institute, spoke to people. Everyone wants to sell you a package.
Yes.
You got to sign up for $1,500. You got to sign up for this. You got to sign up for that. You got to spend so much money to sign up before you get anything, and they're going to give you a booklet. I worked with a woman in a franchise company, right? This is who I helped. I worked with a woman. She was working in this business for 20 years. In all the years she's been in business, she didn't make a cent for herself, not 1 cent. Now, this company is a franchise company, right? All they were teaching her, all they wanted is how much sales were you making a month so we can get our 6%. They didn't teach her how to look at a profit and loss report. They didn't teach her we can help you get a bookkeeper. They didn't teach her what to do as a bookkeeping, how to do this or how to do that. They just ignore the foundations, and all they want was a percentage. But they didn't understand her pain and how to help her in that.
Yeah.
That's wrong. I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So that's when I stepped off to it, I thought, I can't work in this arena. I don't want to do go to any more coaching companies and listen to their schemes because I don't believe what they're selling. because people are not getting it. If you want to be in business, you've got to align with the right accountant, with the right bookkeeper.
Yes.
How do you
They're
do
all
that?
part of your team, aren't they? Because, I talk to people about the people in their business, and it's not just your clients, it's not your suppliers, it's your accountant, and it's your partner, and it's your friends, and it's the cheer squad, and all of those.
That's right.
Bodies
Well,
that
Veronica,
keep you
I
going.
was in my second business, I was a one-man show.
Yep.
So through my first business, when I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, when I learned all that and I lost everything, I then, from the get-go, I got a bookkeeper. I got a bookkeeper that did all my IT stuff. I commissioned all that part of the business. So I focused on sales and customer service and marketing because they were my strengths. So I found others to look after all those weaknesses that I couldn't do.
Yeah.
And I found someone that handled my strengths.
Yeah,
It was a cost that was not negotiable. I paid it, but I found the right person. I found the right suppliers that drew on my values. If I was going to be successful, they had to be successful because I wanted them to make money like I made money. So I didn't have 10, 12 suppliers. I had 3 suppliers because isn't it better to give an account? If you had a supplier, instead of giving them $5,000 a year, isn't it better to give them $100,000 a year as an account?
Absolutely.
Well, that's what I did. I made sure everyone around me were winners. And I wanted everyone to share the success. And I would always work with them. So I had these suppliers for 10, 12 years. I didn't shop around.
And that loyalty and that integrity is there all the way through, isn't it?
That's right. Because when I wanted to have a holiday and I was navigating with the phone and I wanted to go somewhere, I can rely on my network to make sure that all the goods and all the services were delivered to my client with no hiccup.
That's fantastic.
So they were my eyes and ears. And that's how I ran the show.
It's a fantastic story, Mary, and you have so much to offer. And the research is not only mining your own experience, and I'm sure, you've done your research and looked around at the coaching and mentoring and everything else and all the courses and giving back to the communities, to early business people, to, women who are out there now. So what, I guess, is your favorite piece of research, or, who's the person that most helped you in this last part? You talked about your writing coach or your business coach, Katrina. Is there anyone else that you think has had a real, well, obviously there are lots, but give us maybe your top person who's had the most influence on the way you've been successful in your business?
I think it's myself.
That's good.
Because when you know you have a great product, when you know that you have a big audience, when you know that demand is there and you deliver time and time and time again, and I'm talking about the businesses that I've had, I know they were strong because I built those foundations and I followed through with my 5 mantras of passion, people, perseverance, and proactive. I did all those hard yards. Then the profit came. I never gave up on anybody. I always used to say a small account always leads to a big account. But because I had faith in people, because I loved people and I loved sales and I loved finding solutions for people, they just kept using me and using me. But that comes from my family. My father's the same. My brother's the same. So the successful people in my family who run businesses, it comes from the family tree. It comes from my DNA. It comes from where I'm from, So, some people are born with it and some people learn it. When I joined the business at 27, I didn't have any. People used to say, oh, did you do a degree? No. My first husband left me. I left my job and I jumped in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you believe, not only that I believed it, but I followed my competitors. I did a lot of research. I did a lot of groundwork. I worked 80 hours a week and I had kids.
Yes.
I was in hospital giving birth and I'm chasing debtors, for God's sakes. But I'm talking about 30 years ago, 35 years ago.
It doesn't stop, does it, as a small business?
It doesn't stop. When you run a business,
you don't come home.
When you run a business, it doesn't stop.
No.
But it's the choices that you make when you're running your business about where you go and how you do it. That's the difference. And that's the knowledge I have to share and the wisdom to share to help these other women in their journey. So when they say, oh, but Mary, do you think I should do that? And I would say, well, okay, if you go and sell that and you don't put the right margin on, how long is it going to take before you make the income that you need for your family?
Yeah. Must know your numbers. It is critical, isn't it?
So then when I got Amazon multi-award winner through my book when it was launched, I got the financial award because in the first few chapters in the book, I talk about setting up your margins, setting up the foundations, knowing your product, how much are you going to sell, how are you going to position yourself, who are the customers, who are your competitors. Whoever my competitors were, I studied them inside out, so I knew I was on top of them. So the book is the ultimate step-by-step guide. So I created the book as a workable book. So then I work with the business owner and we go through all of those steps.
Yeah.
We go through the foundations, we go through the margins, we go through the profits, then we go through the selling, then we go through the customers, then we go through your strengths and weaknesses. Then we go through all of those things. So the book has become a workable book. It's not just a novel you pick up. It's a book that you work in hand with me.
Yeah, really practical.
It's a practical book because everything I've done in business is practical. It's something I've learnt and something I've done for myself.
Yeah.
And okay, the only difference is today, Veronica, is social media. So forget people. I'm a people's person. So I get great value from people. I could speak to you, but if I don't connect with you and shake that hand and speak to you face to face, I can't tell the sort of person you are. Because you know what? On a website, everything looks magical, everything looks pretty, but it's the action in the doing that sets you apart from the others. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the action. Let me help you take the action to be successful. I'm not going to talk about it. I want to show you.
You want to do it. And you offer so many different things, Mary. You've got retreats and workshops and coaching and mentoring and training and keynote speaking. You've got online programs and you've got your books and consulting. So where is the best spot to find you? Is going to your website the best way to see what you've got to offer? Yep. Okay.
You can go there. I'm everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm not at the moment, Veronica. I'm not active on any social media platform because I'm trying to still find my voice with my niche market myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're pivoting again, Mary, and learning to leverage your experience and your skills and find exactly where you need to land. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So because the key audience what I was going to do, Veronica, is that I was going to be positioned to be a speaker. And you can only be a speaker on a stage with the audience, right? Well, COVID stopped that.
Incredibly difficult. Yeah.
So
really,
last year I did summits, I did overseas summits, I did some blogs, I did some webinars, but I don't draw my energy from a screen. I draw my energy from people. Yeah. So I'm thinking now of actually looking into an agent to find someone that I can connect with that can start me now that we're opening up, that I can start talking to people, talking to whether it's a sales team or whether it's small business or whether it's a corporate business who's got salespeople who are trying to get their staff motivated. Anything where you can connect people who are selling product.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what I do very well.
Very good. And look, there are some great, when I was doing some speaking myself, there are some great organisations that will help promote you and put you in touch with the right kind of places. So that's excellent. Mary, final words for the people who might want to pick up your book.
Well, they can go to the website and they can go onto my shop and they can order the book. I have only 9 copies left until I do a reprint. I'm not going to do a reprint until I get a little bit of a demand. I'm not going to spend any money until I know we've got a demand, of course.
Yes.
I mean, I've got to think.
But you've got an ebook as well, haven't you? So
yeah, I have got an ebook, but a physical, you know what it's like, Veronica.
Yes.
If you're running a business, this is a physical book. This is a book that you need to pick up and hold. You need to work. You need to write in it. You need to scribble in it. I would recommend a hard copy, but there are those that prefer ebook. the message is the same, but it's not as strong when you actually pick it up and work with it. But it's
No,
up to the
absolutely.
individual listener, really.
Yeah.
And look, and people can reach out by phone, they can reach out by LinkedIn or email. I'm a down-to-earth person, very warm, very approachable. So trust me, I can speak to anybody that's interested for a chat or anything, really.
Yeah.
So,
and you also have some, if people are interested in working more closely with you, you've got some free business strategy sessions so they can go onto your website and book themselves into that and have a one-on-one and do exactly what we've said, which is see whether you're have
a good fit.
A good fit. That's exactly right. Yeah.
And that's what it's about. You've got to have the right fit. People have got to feel comfortable, because if you don't feel comfortable with the person you're working with, you're not going to succeed.
No,
because
there has to be that trust there.
Yeah,
sure.
You've got to have trust, because, a mentor is a trusted advisor. A mentor is someone that has your back and supports you.
Absolutely.
And teaches you the foundations. I want to teach people the foundations about how to get to a size and get to the next step. But it's not fantastic. A pill that you take. It's a step-by-step stage.
It isn't, and no silver bullets. It takes hard work, and it takes process, and it takes putting things in place so that when you've got those strong foundations, then you can put whatever you like on it. But you've got to have those there.
Thank you, Veronica, for for listening, and I'm hoping your listeners did get something from our session today.
Mary, you just never know. You just don't know who might be listening at that time and thinking, you know what? Oh, maybe I could do that. And for so many writers who listen and authors who listen to our podcast, it's a part of their creative process that is often left behind, is that they need to set up their business and they need to put those foundations in place. Get your ABN, think about your business plan, where are you marketing, who's your audience, all of those kind of things, whether you're publishing traditionally or whether you are self-publishing, you still need that business model, that business foundation behind it. So I am sure that there will be lots of people who are going, I need to look at this more closely. So thank you so much for giving of your time and your experience.
And thank you. It was lovely meeting you, and thank you for the opportunity. And I'm hoping that we can get together again another time.
Absolutely.
Face to face.
Yeah, indeed. With the lockdowns away, I'm sure that we will find a time to have a natter over coffee. Fantastic.
Yeah, terrific. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you for helping.
Thank you
for sharing
very much.
My story. Thank you.
No worries at all. So we have been speaking with business mentor Mary Philippou, and Mary has a book titled Show Me the Money for Those Screaming for Profit, and you can find that on the non-fiction page of Australian Book Clubbers, of course. So thanks everybody, and bye for now.
Mary, thank you so much for being part of the Australian Book Lovers podcast, and thank you for sharing so much of your life experience, your wisdom, and your absolute passion with all of our listeners and with all of our readers through your wonderful work called Show Me the Money. Now, Veronica, I was asking you before we went to the interview, was there things coming from your background? What sort of elements did you pull from that super fantastic opportunity of talking with Mary that maybe you weren't expecting to find?
Look, it's interesting. Many of the things resonated with me. I think I felt myself nodding a lot when I was talking with Mary, and some of the things were that outward success doesn't necessarily mean that your life is a success. And I know many people come to coaching or search for a mentor looking for kind of completion. So, Mary talked about going through that, and the fact that despite that she'd been, earned more than $300,000 a year and she had successful businesses, that there was still something she had to offer. And that need to share knowledge was really compelling for her. And I think it is for a lot of people, at all ages, often more particularly, older people. And I think it was a good reminder about ordinary people. There are so many people who we might think of as ordinary who are living extraordinary lives, who contribute an extraordinary amount to their friends, to their family, to their community, to their industry or their sector. And it's just amazing the the tapestry of what makes up the world. And I think that was some of the thoughts that I had after I've been chatting with Mary.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing to say, especially at the time of recording, with the importance of what is now, the terminology being an essential worker, but we've really come to understand how important certain roles are in society that perhaps we've taken for granted. And so it's a unique thing. So I guess, for all those people out there that are essential workers and have been pushing through, they've brought such a fantastic service to us all too, and to society. And for a lot of those people, they may feel like they're struggling, and they may feel like they're on the treadmill, they're not getting anywhere. And yet here it is. The proof is that they're actually bringing such a helpful service to the community all around them. And finally, there's an opportunity to recognise that. So I hope that, as the spotlight does reveal, the importance of what we're calling essential workers, I'm hoping that comes with a new sense of pride at their role. Not so much pride in the role, but be proud that we are, society as a whole is finally recognising what they already knew. And that is their role is important.
Look, absolutely. And I think it's, another slice of that particular pie, recognising people that are not necessarily in the media all the time, because, media is often owned by big business, and then big business kind of, feeds itself and is always in the media. Whereas of the, 2,065,523 small businesses in Australia, 97% of them are less than 19 people.
I'm glad you said that. I thought you were going to tell me something, devastating, like 90% don't make it. But
no. So
but
if you
19 people
use
still
the
quite
employment
big.
measure as small business, so there's that 2 million small businesses in Australia. They employ less than 19 people. So that's often the one-person people like me. They account for 97% of all Australian businesses.
That's a pretty incredible statistic. And I guess it just goes to show, you've got I'd be interested to know the bridge between that and the monoliths. The massive corporations that seem to be growing by the second. What lays in between there? Is there an in between?
It is that mix, I guess, is the thing. And this is what I mentioned earlier about the whole jigsaw and the tapestry of what makes up the community. All of these things that make up business, and some small businesses have really suffered, and many of them have closed. But there are still others who have started a new small business, have realised that working from home is something that they want to do. It gives them access to families, on a much greater time and all those kind of things. So it will be really interesting to see what our community, what our world looks like over the next couple of years. But I'm with you in that our essential workers, not just in hospitals, but our food,
all of those,
all those logistics people, we cannot live without them. We just can't. We take so much for granted. And again, the media focus being a bit more on those essential workers has been really good.
I'd love to see someone stacking a shelf, taking a selfie, and that becomes the new the equivalent of an influencer on Instagram.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, that means we can all eat. Somebody's bikini fail is, I'm sorry, but that's not going to help feed families. and I don't know why, influencers are worshipped, should I say, to such a high degree, when this is where, we see what really happens and what is necessary. But I was just thinking, show me the money, and, with technology and opportunity to start new self-employment, and with computers opening up new realms of possibilities. And I know that there's been some people out there that have made and continue to make huge income streams from doing things like unboxing or unwrapping and stuff like that. So I thought, why not? I'm just going to launch it tentatively today, but depending on the listener feedback, we can definitely look at evolving it into something a lot more, consistent. But I was thinking of something along the lines of Show Me the Money, where people post banknotes in envelopes to my address, but don't tell me what's in the envelope. I will open each envelope, and you can see reaction videos. So it might be a $5 note, it might be $100 note. You see, and
is that like a crowdfunding?
Well, you get that. You get that joy of seeing my face opening up, and
good luck with that.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's been done before.
No, true. So anyone who is interested, please send an email to admin@australianbooklovers.com and we'll send you Darren's address. You can send him some dolls.
And I will start making the YouTube videos, and I'll do it live on Instagram, maybe even TikTok. So,
there you go.
And I'll I don't know, I'll come up with something for every 5 in a row $100 notes that I open. There'll be I'll ring a bell on the screen, ding ding ding.
Very good. Now I have just done a TikTok 5-day course, not a 5-day course because it was 5 minutes in 5 days with the self-publishing formula people. There was some really interesting things to look at. I don't know whether I am a TikTok person. It's really loud because there's always music, and I know you could turn that off, but I feel like that's part and parcel of what goes on. But book talk apparently is, I know we've spoken about this before, going gangbusters.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do a bit more investigating before we talk about it too much.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I've got a quote.
Oh, do tell.
So I thought I'd start with one of the oldest ones. This is from Socrates, who was a Greek philosopher from Athens many, many years ago, about 399 BC, in fact. And this quote, he has many, but this quote is, "Wisdom begins with wonder."
Yes, touche.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, because it takes wonder to delve into discoveries. And without discoveries, you're not going to learn anything, are you? So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you are curious and you want to know how things are working, you're going to find out. And that's the kind of thing that Mary did. She just went and knocked on doors and she found out and did courses and taught all those things. So, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's a good
So have
quote.
you got some quotes for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got one. My first one is from a gentleman by the name of David Ferretti, or Ferretti. I'm not sure how to pronounce it properly, but anyway, it's how you deal with failure that determines how you achieve success. A pretty, run-of-the-mill one, and yet it's just bulletproof as far as logic behind it.
Yeah, and I think absolutely apt for what Mary was talking about. Her business, one of the businesses went under, but she could have just gone, oh, well, I'm going home to be a housewife and just look after my family. But that's not what she chose to do. She learnt from that, and her next business, went gangbusters. It was just fantastic. So, yeah, good quote.
And that's a beautiful thing about reading people's stories, because you can share in their failures, and then also learn from their decision to not stop, or what it is, how they react to that failure. Because it's easy to see the success, on a 1 minute TikTok ad or a photo and keep dreaming or something like that. But which is great, it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But there's such big stories a lot of times behind those, those fantastic moments, and that's where, it's how we deal with our failures, but it's also our wonder to discover other people's failures, so that we can increase that wisdom as well. Going back to your quote, and together, well, you should be unstoppable then.
Yes. Let me give you another one about wisdom. This is from Brian Aldiss, who was one of my favourite authors in the olden days when I was young. He wrote a lot of sci-fi and kind of, I guess, threads of fantasy in there as well. Haliconia Spring, do you know those? Haliconia Winter?
No, not off the top of my head.
AI, you might know, artificial intelligence. They had a movie based on that. But, yeah, he wrote some great books. Anyway, wisdom means giving due weight to relationships with the rest of the animate and inanimate world.
Can I ask you to say that again?
Yep. Wisdom means giving due weight to relationships with the rest of the animate and the inanimate world.
I think well, to know one's place and in this strange rock called Earth, I think that would make sense.
Yeah. For me, it was about the relationships, and in business, what I've always felt is that the quality of the relationships that I have with, clients is the quality of the relationship I have in business. So the inanimate world is as important to me these days as the animate world. So the animate being, people and all those kind of things. So it's where, as you said, our place in the world, and knowing that we are part of this incredible tapestry. And I guess it's a bit like that, when a butterfly flaps its wings and a tsunami happens somewhere else, because everything that you do is connected to everything else.
Mm-hmm. Well, that quote is, it's not too difficult for me to fall in love with anyway, because, I love all animate things, but also I love rocks.
Yes.
So perfect.
Of course you
Sparkly
do.
rocks, opal, sapphires, fool's gold. So, no, that's a good quote. Well, I've got one that's, not sure what to make of it, because it can be read a lot of different ways, but it's by a gentleman called Jim Rohn, and it is, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think, if anything, it highlights the importance to value yourself, value your own time, and seek to improve yourself at all possible opportunities, whatever that self-education may be, because it's only going to make you a stronger person, a better person, and somebody more capable of achieving what it is that's going to bring a smile to your heart, because it's not just about making money, it's about feeling that becoming the best person you can be.
The richness is in many things.
Absolutely. I think that success, I think, is become so synonymous with money. And while money is great because it takes away that feeling of not being safe as far as the future, etc., I get that, but it's certainly not the be all and end all, is it? And I think success to just be the best person we can be is, it's definitely something. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to wake up with $2 million, but I'd still be the same person with still the same work needed to be done, shall we just say. I'll just be able to do it in more expensive thongs.
There you go. Well, see, that's one of Ian and my favourite games, is to go for a walk on a Saturday morning. What if we win Tats Lotto tonight? So what would we do with 1 million or 10 million or all those kind of things? So that is one of our favourite games. As you can imagine, sadly, the most we've ever won is, $28 or $32 or something. But although many years ago, I think Ian won about 800 or something. So that was pretty exciting. But that was so long ago. That was, meaningless now.
No, there'd be some. I mean, obviously, winning a lottery or becoming, having a business that could generate that sort of money would be fantastic. But still, none of it will be as good as it can be unless the person that's ready to enjoy it and have beautiful things to do with it, that person, that work can be done regardless of the money or not. You don't need the money to get that part done. So I'm definitely working on it. It's a work in progress, let me tell you.
Yes. We are all a work in progress.
Absolutely.
That's a good point.
Yeah. No, a couple of good quotes there. A little bit of wisdom
Excellent.
there. And from a show today that hopefully has inspired some listeners if they're thinking about stepping into the self-employed realm or small business realm. Do it. And, take comfort.
Look for Mary's book on the non-fiction. And we've got also, there's, of course, Dr. Paige Williams' Becoming Anti-Fragile is there. We've got some great memoirs, all of them with lessons to learn, which is fantastic. And if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to let us know. So you can find Australian Book Lovers at www.australianbooklovers.com. We're on Twitter at Australian Books, on Facebook and Instagram at Australian Book Lovers. We're on YouTube. If you just go Australian Book Lovers, you'll find us there with all the episodes. And you could leave us a star on one of your favourite podcasting platforms. Leave us a review. You could shoot us an email. Subscribe if you're a reader, and you will get access to the newsletter, our inconsistent newsletter, but we always try and have something to give away. And we had Shakert by Ishmael A. Soledad, and we had copy of that to give away, and we've got a winner for that.
Awesome.
And
cool looking book, that one too.
Yeah, it is a good looking book. Yeah, indeed. And also we gave away some free mugs last time, which have the beautiful Australian Book Lover logo on it. So if you want to be in the running for those prizes, books or otherwise, don't forget to go to australianbooklovers.com/booklovers and subscribe. That's a bit. That's my spiel.
Well, I was just thinking in that slight dramatic pause. One, am I about to cough? Two, how shall we do our tagline? And I was thinking, I think we'd be doing ourselves a disservice if we didn't call it out, I guess, like, Tom Cruise, Show Me the Money, but we do read morality books. And, well, no, it wasn't Tom Cruise, was it? It was, what's his name?
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, no, that was the movie,
Wasn't,
but that wasn't his phrase. That was...
It wasn't his phrase, no.
Oh, no. I'm hopeless when it comes to remembering some of these actors nowadays. But nonetheless, yes. So he starts off low, builds it up, and then eventually shouts it. So shall we maybe do a mid-shout? And then I'll see what we can do with some nice sound effects.
Excellent.
Okay, so I'll let you start us into our tag.
Okay. Remember, book lovers, to... Read
more Aussie
books!
I'm definitely going to cough in a sec now. But thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and take care. And talk to you on the next episode.
And bye for now.
Let's meet again when magic happens.
Australian Book Lovers acknowledges First Nations peoples and recognises their continuous connection to country, community and to culture. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and honour the sharing of traditional stories passed down through generations. We're committed to a safe and inclusive welcome for authors and readers of all cultures and backgrounds, including people of LGBTQIA+ communities and their families.